Alright, what's going on, Matrix? This is White Dragon 1987 with the New York Jets. Got a pretty good show today. We're going to go over rules and break all that stuff down, but we don't have Peyton with us today. He's at work, so we've got a special guest host. We've got Latrell, Paper Trail with the Panthers. What's going on, Trail?
Here.
So glad to have you on board, man. It was really nice to beat you in week one, but you've turned things around, so good to have you on board, man. Good to have you on board. Without further ado, let's jump straight into this week's podcast. So let's go ahead and go over the league administrators real quick. A lot of you guys, for some reason, 3 years into the league, you're still confused on who is who. Please watch the podcast. The head CEO, head commissioner, whatever you want to call him, is the New York Giants. That's Mad Cow Disease. He took over in my spot this year. He's doing a great job, really doing things to keep you guys engaged. I like how he's voting on what's going to be the game of the week, what are we going to stream. So he's doing a hell of a job. Awesome work, dude. In the AFC, the commissioner is the Raiders. That's Danny Boy RR. If you look in the chat, there's an AFC right in front of his name. He's the only person that has AFC. That means he's the AFC commissioner. If you have any force win situations, any stuff like that, send him a direct message. Don't blow it up in the chat. Direct message for any issues. Then for the NFC, it was the Eagles. I haven't had time to update this. I apologize, you guys. I lost a lot of my info on my computer. But it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now, so disregard this right here. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kendall's going to be, I think it's Kendall 77 or I-77, something like that. But anyways, if you look in the chat, he's the NFC commissioner now, Buccaneers. We have a graphics media team. That's going to be myself. The Buccaneers, he's over the Daddy Leagues. And then the Jaguars, they haven't been helping me out too much. They've got a lot of stuff going on. I know he was without his computer for a while, but we've got some new things coming now. The Jags is getting ready to take care of that. Trade committee, the man with us right here, Paper Trail, he is part of the trade committee. You also have the Colts, that's D-Nail, and then you have our CEO, Mad Cow Disease. The alternates are going to be myself and then the Ravens. So glad to have somebody here on board from the trade committee. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. And then the general administrators we have, the chat administrator, that's going to be Sherrod, that's Alpha Male. He's got the Ravens. He'll be handling the chat, setting up Gort. He bought our Gort subscription, so thanks for paying that for us, dude. As far as the roster side for the NFC, that's going to be Peyton, PB the God with the Rams. So if you guys are making any illegal position changes, any trades that haven't been approved yet, he's going to be flagging that and sending that to the NFC commissioner. For the AFC side, that's going to be Bizzle with the Dolphins. If you have any issues, roster changes, all that stuff, he'll be looking out for that. So I'm glad that we've got Latrell on board this week. I'm going to have Latrell break down a lot of what's going on behind the scenes with the trade committee. I know a lot of you guys don't get to see what we're voting on and how everything works, so he's going to break that down right after I go through the initial rules. But the main rules as far as trades, you guys, all trades have to be approved by the trade committee before they can be accepted in the game. We usually lock the trades. I know you guys like to be able to see what you're sending, but just take a screenshot of it, guys. Send it to the other party. Communicate with them, but you cannot accept any trades until it's been approved by the trade committee. The trade committee's got 24 hours to vote on a trade. Don't rush them, because if they don't have time to vote on it and they don't get a decision in 24 hours, your trade's automatically going to be approved no matter what. So it's best just to send it in to a trade committee member and just sit back and wait for the verdict. Worst case scenario, the trade's approved by default. If we get any new users to the league, we're going to make you wait 2 or 3 games, because we don't want somebody joining the league, trading away stars and draft picks, and then dipping because they get their ass whooped. So just be prepared to wait a few weeks if you're a new user. If you have a trade that's vetoed, we're not going to let you do any backdoor trades and crap like that. So if you do have a trade that gets vetoed, those players can't make it to the other person's team for 2 weeks. So you can't just cut a player and tell the other guy, hey, go pick up the player I cut, and we'll do it like that. So we know the game. We've been around for a minute, you guys. Been in plenty of 32-man leagues. We know all the tricks. We're going to catch you, so don't try us. So if you would, Latrell, go ahead and break down the mindset of somebody coming from the trade committee. What are some things that you guys look for in trades? What's some things that's going to be way too whack? You're like, we're not letting that fly. What are you thinking about when you handle your trades up there?
We just looking for fairness in general. What the player's worth, what he's getting in return. So if you got a 90 overall player that's 30 years old and you're offering a first round pick, it just depends if it's an X factor or how many years on the contract they have left. We take all that into account. So we just got to take all that into account. We just don't say, oh, the player's a 90 overall, he's offering them a first round pick, or the player's a 98 overall, he's offering a first round pick. That's not enough, but you got to take into account whether he has no years left on his contract or 4 years and just other things in that nature. So.
And you guys are looking at the development traits too, like the star, superstar, X factor, all that stuff, right?
Yeah, we're looking at all of that. It's just, and also when you send your trades in, make sure you send in some player cards, and cause sometimes we might not know certain players. We went through 3 seasons, so there's some CPU generated players out there, but they may be good and we may not know their names, so you just got to take that into account as well.
Yeah, definitely, you guys. So when you're sending your trades through, try to make it as easy as possible for the trade committee. Nobody in here is getting paid to do this. Last time I checked, I ain't paying nobody. So we're all doing this stuff for free. The reason that we have people that are commissioners, that are trade committee, it's because they've been in leagues before that have failed. They've been in leagues before that was, bullshit was going on. People are trading Julio Jones for 2 7th-round picks. We're not letting shit like that fly, guys. So every rule we have, there's a reason for it. We didn't just shit this stuff out and throw it on a piece of paper. I've seen a few of you lately. You guys are, maybe not understanding the rules, or why are we letting this trade go? Why is this going through? We always have a reason to it. But DM somebody in the trade committee, DM a commissioner, and ask your questions that way. Let's not put people on blast because you may not know both sides of the story. I don't want you to make a commissioner look stupid, and I don't want you to look stupid. So by all means, though, ask questions, you guys. That's how we make a better league. Take pride in the league. Put your input into it. If you think a trade should have been vetoed or if a trade should have been approved, that's why we have the one-time vote call, and we'll get to that later on. But make these guys' job easier with the trade committee. Take a screenshot of your player, send a picture in, easily break it down what the trade is. If you just mumble everything up into one paragraph and we can't understand what it says, then we might just say veto because we can't even understand it. So make it easier for us. I know if I'm going after a star like a J.J. Watt, I want to do everything I can to get him on my team. So I'm going to send pictures of him, pictures of my players. I'm going to nice and neat, break down who's getting what. So make it easy for these guys. We can get these trades in and out pretty quick. So thank you, Trell, for that one. While we're doing this, let me go ahead and ask you a few little hypothetical scenarios. So, Latrell, you being a trade committee member, if I offered somebody a superstar X Factor, 25-year-old player, and someone agreed to give me a 5th-round pick, are you guys going to veto that or approve something like that?
I mean, obviously, somebody's smoking crack in that trade, so...
Exactly.
I have to definitely decline that. I mean, that's obvious, so don't come with no bullshit like that.
Okay, awesome.
Nobody's never came with nothing like crazy like that. So
and that's,
I'm happy we don't have any special people in the league that think that we'll go through.
So another thing I was going to ask you, Trell, I'm in the trade committee chat, so I know what's going on, but let everybody know exactly how many of these trades we veto or we actually make them rework. Because a lot of people are thinking we're approving everything, and they're not seeing what you guys are working on behind closed doors.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, people trades, they be good, but we do have cases where we're not going to say just veto, we're going to say how it might work or tell a person what they might need to add and stuff. So we don't just outright veto it. We try to work with you, go above and beyond. Like I said, we're not getting paid for this, so but we still trying to make everybody happy on both sides. So yeah,
absolutely. And that's the biggest thing, you guys. Like when we're having these trades go through, we just want to make sure that both parties are happy, both parties are coherent. I don't want somebody that's never played in a franchise and they think they're getting something out of a 35-year-old, a 45-year-old Tom Brady, and you're making them give up, 5 first-round picks. In real life, that might sound great, but, on the game, you just ruin that person's franchise. So we just making sure both people understand, what's going on in the trade. Do you understand the player you're trading away has 98 speed? Do you understand the player you're trading away has superstar X factor? So as long as we have a level playing field of knowledge, we're going to try to help you guys out. And then, like Latrell said, we get a lot of trades that come through, and we might say, hey, the Giants, they're getting a little bit too much in this trade, so Giants, you're going to have to throw in a 4th-round pick, throw in a 7th-round pick, and that's how we get these trades worked out. So thanks for shedding light on that. So we're going to move on to the next hot topic we've had going on recently in the league, position changes. I find it odd that we're in year 3. Whether you started in the first year with us, the second year with us, or if you've never played with us before, I guarantee you have played in a 32-man league. And every single competitive 32-man league has position change rules. Last time I checked, the NFL has position change rules as well. You can't be a quarterback today and tomorrow think you're going to be a fucking defensive end. It don't work like that. So, that being said, I want to go ahead and jump through what are the permitted position changes, what are the ones that we don't allow, and what are some that, it's going to have to be approved by a commissioner. So, right off the bat, to make it simple, the player has to remain in their position group. What do we mean by this? So a position group, defensive line is defensive line. The players on defensive line are going to be your defensive tackle, your left end, and your right end. You can move those guys freely as you want to. DE to D-tackle, D-tackle to DE, whatever you want to do. Now, however, if you have a player that's a superstar or a superstar X factor and you're constantly moving that player's position, even if it's to a warranted position, you're doing it to cheat, and I'll show you that later on. So don't keep changing players back and forth every week, and I'm going to point you guys out and call you out for doing that shit. But anyways, permitted position changes, you can move offensive line to any offensive line. So left tackle, right tackle, center, right guard, you can move whatever you want to, set up your line how you want to. Fullback to tight end and tight end to fullback. They're pretty much the same position. They can be interchanged. We'll allow you to do that however you want to. You can move linebacker to any linebacker. So left outside linebacker, right outside linebacker, middle linebacker. You can interchange that however you want to fit your scheme. We've already talked about the D-line. And then you have your secondary. So that's going to be defensive back. So you can move a corner to free safety to strong safety to corner without restriction. You can also move a kicker to punter and a punter to kicker. So, that being said, what are some position changes that you cannot do? So, do not attempt any of these following position changes for any reason at all. I've heard all the bullshit. I'm sure you've heard it before too, Latrell. People say, oh, I'm just curious. I wanted to see what Patrick Mahomes would be at running back. I wanted to see what, Patrick Peterson would be at a left guard. Well, that's fine. Take your ass out of the league. Go make an offline franchise, and you can go see whatever any player would be without any bullshit. Don't do it in our league, all right? So do not move quarterback to anything other than quarterback for any reason. I don't care what it is. There's no reason to change quarterback's position. Running back cannot be changed to anything else other than running back. A lot of people don't understand why we have that rule. Well, here's the reason why. I can go take Le'Veon Bell, he's a running back, put him at fullback, and there's certain plays that I can call where the fullback is going to get different types of run blocking in the game, and you now have the best utility fullback in the game. Also, what guys might do, they're going to take a running back, save up all of his skill points, change his position to fullback, and then you'll use those skill points at the fullback position and beef up all his blocking. So you're kind of cheating the game. You're going to go get your XP at running back, and then you'll change him over to fullback and use those skill points that you wouldn't have got to apply them to fullback traits. So that's the reason for that one. Same thing with wide receiver. You can't put wide receiver at tight end. You can't put wide receiver at running back. You can't put him at corner. A wide receiver has to stay a wide receiver. Offensive line can't go to anything other than offensive line. D-line can't go to anything other than D-line. And DBs have to stay DBs. Give me 1 second. I've got a message here. Let's see here. Bengals. Okay, I'm just checking to see what we had going on in the chat, you guys. But now, so we're talking strictly on changing a player's position, editing that player's position. And how do you do that? That's by clicking on them, clicking on edit player, and changing their position. You can do whatever you want to do in your depth chart. If Madden will let you put a wide receiver at running back in the depth chart, you can do it. If Madden will let you put a wide receiver at tight end in the depth chart, you can do that, but only in the depth chart. So you're restricted to the depth chart used for things like that. Latrell, are there any position changes on here that you disagree with or some that you understand? Anything you want to chime in on?
No, I pretty much agree with everything that's on there. I mean, yeah, everything's good.
Right, because you've been in leagues with me before where a guy will go draft a wide receiver who's 98 speed, but he's trash. They'll put him at running back, and you can just run stretch plays all game, and you got the fastest running back in the game.
Yeah,
so,
cheap.
Yeah, it's pretty much breaking the game, you guys. Just like if you were to go take, Odell Beckham Jr. and put him at tight end, you're making him the best tight end in the game. You're breaking the game. So that's our biggest goal when it comes to position changes, is making sure you're not breaking the game. So then we also have some commissioner-approved one-time changes. So we understand some of y'all run 3-4, some people run 4-3, and you might want to move a defensive end to a linebacker or a linebacker to defensive end. We're totally cool with that. However, get with the commissioner first, because newsflash, nobody wants to read the rules, so you're not going to read this part right here. But if you are going to move linebacker to defensive end or vice versa, they can't have speed, acceleration, and agility higher than the highest person at that position in the league. So, for instance, what do I mean by that? If you have a linebacker with 96 speed and you're trying to put him at defensive end, we are not going to allow that. Why? Because there is no defensive end that has 96 speed. You're breaking the game. So we're just making sure we don't break the game. Also, if you're going to move people to that position, they got to stay there. All right, you can't move them from linebacker to defensive end. The next week, defensive end to linebacker. Same thing with the permitted changes. If we're looking through the roster transactions and we see you keep moving a player around back and forth, even if it's a permitted position change, like for instance this linebacker and defensive end, there's a reason for that too. You have training every week. Well, somebody might take that linebacker and bring him down to defensive line, train him as defensive lineman, and then go back to linebacker the next week. There's all different ways you can glitch it. People might change a player's position to get him on a cheaper contract. So you might change Patrick Mahomes to a punter, or Tom Brady to a kicker, to sign them for a cheap deal, sign them, and then put their position back. These are all cheats that people do. I don't know why people get into a 32-man league thinking you got to get a leg up with shit like that. But apparently, when you do stuff like that, it shows you're trash on the game. If you're so bad at Madden where you need to change a player's position to get them for cheaper, or to do all this, hunky-dunk garbage shit, it means you're trash. You don't need to be playing. Go play Fortnite, go play Pokemon, catch them all, what you got to do, bro. It don't matter. But don't be playing the games up here in Madden. So I hope that made it really, really, really clear with the position changes. If you're ever unsure what to do, that's why we have commissioners. DM your commissioner. One of us will get back to you really quick, and you can find the position change rules in the calendar section. So I want to also break down another issue with moving players. So we don't really force you guys to refrain from doing this too much, but just keep in mind that if you do change somebody with a superstar or superstar X factor to another position, it's going to re-roll their abilities. So, Pate, I'm sorry, Latrell, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, guys going from enforcer, stuff like that, and these are some of the things that Peyton and the Dolphins are going to be looking out for as well. So if you look right here, we've got Davante Adams. He has a superstar trait. His abilities are double move elite and red zone threat. So if I take Davante Adams and I change his position to running back, and then I change it back to wide receiver, it's going to re-roll the abilities that he has. So in essence, you could cheat and you could just keep on going from wide receiver, running back, wide receiver, running back, wide receiver, until you got the most overpowering abilities, or the ones that you want. That's not the point in this game. You can't sit here and cheat it to what you want. The whole point of the abilities is randomness, or if it's a player that's already in the league, it's player likeness. So we're going to be looking out for stuff like that. We know what you're doing. We know the game. Don't do it. Now, however, if it is something like you've got an old superstar outside linebacker, he's starting to get slow, and you say, hey, look, I want to move him to defensive end. I know it's going to re-roll the abilities, but after this, I won't move him again. This is where, he belongs in my team. And that's cool. We're going to allow that. But if you come right back to us tomorrow and you say, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Say if you have a DT and you change him to DN, you should only be allowed to change him back to DT if you're going to do it one more time. That's about it. So I say one to 2 times the most. If anything after that is just suspicious.
Right, and it's going to throw a red flag. And, you can already tell what a player's overall is going to be. So let's say, for instance, like you're saying, Latrell, if you've got a defensive tackle and you're curious what he would be at defensive end, all you have to do is go to your depth chart and you can see what his overall is at defensive end. There's no need to change his position. So if you guys are ever interested, what would Ndamukong Suh be at defensive end, go to your depth chart and you can click on it and you can see what he would be in there. Same thing with linebackers. Your outside linebackers, you can even see what they would be in that defensive end spot before you go changing them back and forth. But yeah, like Latrell's saying, you guys are throwing red flags. If I see a superstar or superstar X Factor and you've changed his position, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 times, you're doing it for a reason. You're cheating something. Nobody just hops in the game after a hard day's in work and says, damn, man, I can't wait to go home and change this guy's position 15 fucking times, man. Don't work like that. So we know the game. Don't play it. Another example, Luke Kuechly. This is your dude right here, Latrell. Luke Kuechly is a superstar X Factor. He has the X Factor ability Shutdown. Then his superstar abilities are Enforcer and Secure Tackler. So if Latrell was to go take him and move him to right outside linebacker, even though that's a permitted position change, it's going to re-roll his abilities.
And about that, Luke, those abilities Luke Kuechly got, like, you wouldn't want to change that anyway. My thing is, I don't know what the situation was with the Chiefs, why he was changing Mahomes' position, but Mahomes had the best abilities in the game. He had one of his abilities was he can
bazooka. He had bazooka.
Not bazooka. One of his abilities was whenever he's scrambling out of pocket, he throws perfect passes. Like, why would you want to get rid of that?
Right.
Like,
so
if I could throw on a run and throw a perfect pass at the same time with his arm strength, that'd be amazing.
Right, and definitely. So if you guys are doing this,
he lost that. So yeah.
Right, like Latrell's saying, you guys are risking the chance of screwing yourself. And you might have a great combination of abilities right off the bat, and then you keep on doing this to try to cheat and get better ones, and you might never get that same pair again. So, there's also a bad side to that. But you guys, chill with it. If you got a middle linebacker and you want to put him at right outside linebacker, just put him there in your depth chart. It makes no difference to change his position to outside linebacker, so you're not going to win that argument with us. If you say, I want to put him at outside linebacker, okay, we'll play him at outside linebacker. You have a depth chart. If there's people in this 32-man league that don't know what a depth chart is and you don't know how to set it up, come get with us. We'll explain it to you. But if you don't understand how to use your depth chart at this point, this is not the league for you. I'm so sorry, you guys. I hate to break it to you, but you got to know how to use your depth chart.
And speaking of Luke Kuechly, yeah, I was just looking at my re-sign. He wants $70 million, and I don't think we're going to be able to pay that here. So he might be a free agent, people.
Right. So, and that's another thing, speaking of position changes, a lot of people might see that $70 million, and then they'll go change his position to cornerback or to punter, and then re-sign him on that contract and cheat, and then put him right back to where he is.
Scroll over to the ratings on Kuechly.
I don't have his ratings on here. I just have his abilities. My bad, man.
Nah, that's cool. I thought you was... Yeah, so, unless our franchise tag him, he's going to be somebody's lucky player in that shit because he's the number one middle linebacker in the game.
Well, now that I know that,
30 years old.
I might have to make you an offer for that. We'll have to do that off the air, though, sir. I'll have to get with you later. Moving on, so I think we've pretty much hit that nail right in the head, you guys. We've explained the position change rules. We've explained how you can cheat, why people would cheat. I know we had a few people so far in our league. I don't ever bring stuff back up, so I'm not holding a grudge. I'm just using you guys for some educational purposes. But the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Chargers, they've all moved players' positions who had abilities or they moved them into an illegal position, and they did it more than once. We don't care what the reason is. It's okay if it's your kid, if it's your dog, if it's your auntie, if all of a sudden you quit, reading in English and you thought you read in Braille or some shit like that. That's fine. But we still have rules. We have to respect everybody else, the other 30, 31 people in here. That's unfair to them. So what we're generally going to do is if you do something like that, you're changing somebody's position nonstop or you change it to an illegal position, we're going to bump your person down to star trait. So if you have a superstar or a superstar X Factor and you're doing these funny position changes, know that you risk taking them all the way down to a star. Now, you can earn superstar and X Factor again, but it's going to be a lot harder to do so. And I think that's pretty fair. We've had 3 people do it. You did the crime, you do the time. I don't look at you guys any different. Nobody else should. You made your mistakes. You learned from it. You still have your player. He has the same overall. So if Luke Kuechly were to lose his X Factor ability, he's still a 99. He's still going to play well. He just won't get those extra attributes that you get from those abilities. So, like I said, we don't care if you guys do it. We're not even going to kick you out of the league right off the bat. But if we start seeing a trend where now it happens a second and a third time, we know you're playing us, we know you're testing us, we are going to kick you out. But everybody makes mistakes. So if you make a mistake, we're going to bump them down to star trait, and we're going to keep it moving, and we're going to look past it. And I'm sure you guys have seen, I don't even let people talk shit about people in the chat. I've been called a cape multiple times, hint, hint. But I don't let people talk shit about somebody that's made a mistake. You make a mistake, you do your punishment, you do your time, keep it moving, man. No reason to keep hounding on somebody. As long as you understand, hey, look, my bad, I know I did it, let's keep it moving. But you can usually tell who's being genuine. The guys that know they got caught cheating, as soon as you catch them, they usually quit immediately after that, or they try to drop all their players or some crazy shit like that. So we can usually tell who's genuine. A lot of guys say, hey, I messed up, and whatever excuse you want to give me, I'll believe it the first time. You could tell me, you dropped your controller, in the fucking trash can. I don't know. Whatever you want to say, I'm going to believe it. But the second and third time, I'm not going to believe it. You're probably going to be out the league. So moving on, let's talk about some general rules now. So some of these kind of touch on the position changes rules as well, but let's break through them. No contract glitches or re-signing glitches. We'd kind of touched on that with changing a player's position to a different position to get them for cheaper, so you can't do stuff like that. Sometimes in Madden there's bugs in the game where if you offer a player, $1 million for a 7-year contract, they'll accept it. Not on this year's Madden, but I've seen really crazy shit like that happen in the past, like on Madden 14 and 15. You can't do that. If you guys invite new users to the league, let them know they have to create a coach. They cannot use an existing coach, and they can't be an owner. The reason we do that, it's a level playing field. If we let one person use Bill Belichick and another person is using whatever raggedy-ass coach of the Dolphins is, they're going to have different abilities and different unlocks. So that's not fair. We start with create a coach, and however good your coach is and however you spend your XP, that's how good your coach is going to be. So you got to build them from the ground up. In the GroupMe, your nickname has got to have your team name in it and your PSN account. So if you're the Bears, it's got to say Bears, then have your PSN ID. If you're the Panthers, you got to have Panthers, and then whatever. I don't care if you put anything else after it. You can put, world's greatest, dirty birds, whatever you want to. But we at least need to know the first thing has got to be your team. Let's make it easy for us. Nobody's trying to get off of work and figure out, who them boys are, when you mean Cowboys. Some people, may not understand what you're saying, all that stuff. Just put Cowboys, Bears, Falcons, and then after that you can put whatever you want to. I think for a while with mine I had the Jets and then I had Gotham City. If I just put Gotham City, a lot of people aren't going to get that. So if you want to, throw your phone number on the end. If you want to have it there available, but you can't require people to contact you through your phone, through text messaging. So we contact each other through the GroupMe and GroupMe alone. But you can have your phone number on there if you want to. If you guys are looking for a date, y'all swing that way. You do what you do. It's not me, but hey, whatever floats your boat. Last thing on here, we have the one-time vote call. So not a lot of people have used this, only the more intelligent users that we have in our league. But each user will have a one-time vote call, or the abbreviation is OTVC. You can use it whenever you want to. If you disagree with a trade, if you disagree with any rule or anything in general regarding our league settings, you can exercise this privilege, and we can hold a 32-person vote or a poll on whatever it is. So, Latrell, let's say that somebody puts a trade through to you guys, and you all say no. All right? Maybe you guys are being biased. Maybe it's a player out there that Latrell that you don't like, and you're letting your feelings get in it, and you say veto. And the other person does that as well. Well, if the two parties say, hey, y'all are vetoing my trade because you don't like me or because of ... I want to use my one-time vote call. You're going to get with the commissioner, let them know what your one-time vote call is going to be. You can't have 15 options. It's either yes or no, approve, veto. We'll put it out there. We'll word it as close to as you want it as we can. We are limited. You can only put I think it's 100 words or 50 words or something like that. So if you're asking for a 19-paragraph explanation on the poll thing, we cannot put that. But we'll put the poll out there to a vote, and we'll let the league vote on it. And you have to get 17 out of 32 votes for us to overturn that or put it in your favor. And you can do this for anything that's related to our rules. Obviously, if you put some dumb shit on there and you say, hey, man, I want to make it to where touchdowns count as 20 points, we can't adjust that. We can't change stuff like that. I think there was one person, what were they wanting us to do? Make the trade deadline week 12 or something like that. We have no control of that. The NFL sets the trade deadline, not Matrix Madden League. I wish we had that much power, Latrell. I wish we had money like that, dude. But we don't. So use this at your discretion. If you use it and you don't win the decision, you lose this privilege for the rest of the franchise.
Actually, we can turn off the trades, turn on the trades, even after the deadline, but I just think we should keep it as realistic as possible for that.
Oh, see, I tried to turn them back on last year and we couldn't. But
is that for real?
Yeah, I actually tried to at one point. Maybe I was tripping. Maybe I could, but I didn't think we even had that feature.
I never tried this year. I've never been a commissioner on this Madden, but
okay.
I know previous Maddens you could turn it on and off whenever you want.
Okay. Well, yeah, as far as I know, we can't, but I can definitely look into that. But that's an NFL rule, you guys, not our rule. But that's the general rules. Again, the one-time vote call, keep it in your pocket, man. Anything. If you want to kick somebody out of the league, if you say, hey, man, look, I don't like Mike. I don't like White Dragon. I want to get him out of here. You can do a one-time vote call. And if you get 17 out of 32, I will leave gladly. I'll walk out the door, and y'all can have a good time. So use that at your discretion, and make sure it's something that's going to have substance to it. If
don't tempt me.
Right. Don't. It's also got to be something reasonable. Obviously, if you put a vote out there and you say, I want everybody to get $20 for winning the Super Bowl, well, shit, everybody's going to want $20 winning the Super Bowl, but where are we going to get this money from? So you have to think about, whatever you're voting on, how are we going to make it work? So it's got to be something really with our rule changes for the most part, a trade decision, something like that. Gameplay rules. A lot of people like our league because unlike a lot of the other 32-man leagues, and Latrell, you can talk about this, we have a really limited gameplay rules. Latrell, let everybody know some of the silly gameplay rules you've seen in other leagues.
You can't go, I'm not saying they're silly, but stuff that I don't agree with. They say you can't go for it on fourth, and you gotta rush 3 or rush 2 or just different things, I've been in all different type of leagues, but to be honest, this league is pretty lax with the rules, so I don't think nobody should complain about anything.
Yeah, and I've seen some rules out there, Trill, where you can't call the same play twice in the same set of downs. You can only blitz once every 4 downs, or you can't throw an out route and do a streak, and you can't put a player in motion. I've seen some really silly shit out there, dude. So that was my biggest focus is, I think that I don't even want to say that levels the playing field. I think it dumbs the playing field down. If you've got 32 people that are so stupid they can't stop a certain play, then them 32 people need to go find something else to do. There's only a few gameplay rules we have, and it's clear and egregious problems. So the first one, I know you talked about it a little bit, but you have to rush 3 players at all times, which means you can't put 9, 10, 11 players in coverage. All we pretty much mean is you have 11 defenders, all right? If you call 3-4, the 3 people on the line, they're automatically sorry, my bad, I lost my phone. They're automatically going to blitz the quarterback without you doing anything. If you have a 4-3, those 4 down linemen, they're automatically going to blitz. As long as you send those, we're cool with that. You just can't.
What if you run the what is it? 2-3-5?
Yeah, so you got 1-4-6, 2-3-5, 3-3-5. You have all sorts of things. However, whatever the standard setting is, we're cool with that. What we're pretty much saying is you can't go through and manually make adjustments, and if you're in a 3-4, go turn all those linemen into zones so nobody's rushing the quarterback, and you have 11 zones on the field. Or 10 man coverages on the field. So that's all we're pretty much saying, you guys. You can get creative with your with your defense. If you run a 4-3 and you want to put this defensive end over here in coverage, that's fine. You still got 3 people blitzing. If you run a 4-3 and you want to say, hey, I'm going to put all my down linemen into coverage and I'm going to blitz my 3 linebackers, you can do that. You can do whatever you want to. Just make sure you're sending at least 3 people. Not 3 extra people, just 3 total people. And if there is a play out there, like in a prevent defense or something like that, where there is only 1 lineman down there rushing, we'll allow that. But I can't really think of any off the top of my head where nobody is coming after the quarterback. I think the least I've seen is like 3 in like a quarter or like $1. So the chew clock feature, all right, you guys can't use that in unreasonable situations. So what do we mean by that? If it's first quarter and you're using chew clock and you're making it your whole goal to prevent the other person from touching the ball, you're abusing it, all right? Now, clearly, if it's the end of the first half and you're trying to go into the half with the lead, there's only a couple minutes left, we're cool with that. If it's the fourth quarter and you've got a lead you're trying to protect, we'll understand that that's reasonable. But I've seen some people before, I'm sure you remember Latrell Todd did this. He would come out, he would try to score a touchdown on his first drive. He would try to take like a 4-minute drive, and then whenever he got the ball back, he would do the chew clock feature and just waste as much time as he could. That's not beating. Yeah, that's not beating somebody. You're trying to cheat the game. You're trying to cheat people. Use it in right situations. All right. So real football. All right. No more than 2 consecutive no huddles unless in the final 2 minutes of either half. I've seen some of you guys break this, but as long as both play styles match up and you're cool with it and the other person doesn't complain, we're fine with that. I think even when I played you, Latrell, you called no huddle on me a whole bunch, but I no huddled blitzed you, I no huddled sacked you, I no huddled intercepted you. I hope I proved to you that no huddle doesn't work great all that time against a good user.
Yeah, I was just trying to get the game over with.
And that's totally fine. But I'm sure you know that if the other opponent wasn't me and they said, hey man, you're using no huddle more than twice in a row, and they tell you to stop, you got to stop. It's no big deal. And then they might even request a punt, and they can. If you violate one of these rules, your opponent can hit you up in the chat and say, hey, I want you to punt, please, because you broke this or that rule. We've been in the league 3 years. This hasn't happened yet. Our gameplay rules are pretty much wide open. We're very loose with it. Just don't get out of control with it, you guys. And like I said, if we got 2 people going toe-to-toe and y'all both want to run no huddle and y'all are doing it just fine, we're cool with it. But just do know that we have these rules here, and if somebody does call it, there is a chance you might have to punt it. The only rule that I've really seen we get violated a lot is the no quitting games. A lot of people are joining the league and they're getting their ass beat, 41-0, 30-10, and they want to quit. Or they want to say, I'm going to give you the force win and expect to be in the league the next week. That's one of the few things where we're going to throw them out of the league. Trell, I think you've even had somebody do that to you, right? You were playing somebody, you were up big, and they quit on you?
Yeah.
I think it was like the first year.
Yeah. Lately, nobody's having done good shit like that, but we've been good lately with all that.
Well, we did have that one fruitcake that we added in. That guy Boston, whatever, he was talking all that silly stuff in the chat. You guys, I don't want to talk about it too much on live air, but y'all know what he was saying. He was kind of weird. He took over the Steelers, I think it was, and he got beat so bad first game, he quit and he left the league. So just remember, if you quit the game, you're not just going to get a forced loss. You're going to force yourself out of the league. Take your loss like a man. If you're trying to rush or whatever, hit your opponent up. Tell them, hey, man, let's get this thing knocked out quick. Let's just run the ball and shoot clock. That's cool. Disconnects and replays. If you guys have any disconnects, get with your opponent. You're going to need to also get with the commissioner and send a screenshot and let them know, hey, we played the game, we had a disconnect, we're going to replay, and you're going to have to take into account your score in the quarter from the game before. A lot of you guys been handled this on your own. Y'all don't need a commissioner, but just work with each other. Some of us do have bad internet. Some of us do work at. We are playing at work and everything. We're trying our best to get our games in. If we look back though and we see where you've got 5 or more disconnects in one season, you're either cheating, plug pulling, or you have terrible internet. We are probably going to kick you out the league. So, but we haven't had anything that egregious yet. And everything's been pretty cool. You guys are doing a pretty good job with your disconnects and replays. Again, you cannot quit the game because you're losing. You got to finish your games. Take it like a man. Slow the game down. Do what you got to do. Scheduling. This is another pet peeve of mine. I don't understand what you guys are thinking when you schedule sometimes. You'll @ the person in the chat and then leave a blank message. That's not scheduling. So if I'm reaching, Latrell, if you and I are playing, tell me what you're going to do to reach out to me. Go ahead and let everybody know what to do.
Yeah, so you first, I always hit him up in the regular chat, let everybody know what's going on. Then I DM him right after that. So, if they don't answer in the DM, I just show my proof. So as long as you do those 2 things, you good.
Right. I mean, it's just real simple, you guys. I like to always reach out in the chat first. That way I can just, put everybody on notice. Hey, I just reached out to the Panthers. If I don't get a response immediately, then I go to the DM. I'm going to go to the DM, but I'm going to @ you. I'm going to say @ Panthers. Hey, when are you free? Here's when I'm free. Don't just ask the other person, when are you free? Well, we also got to know when you're free. So if you're DMing the person, I usually let them know, hey, I work today from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. so I can play in the morning or when I get off at night. How about you? If you try to force people to playing in like a single time, you say, hey, I can play at 7 p.m. tonight. Okay, well, that probably don't work for everybody. So just work with your opponent, reach out to them, and it's your job and your responsibility. We try to post the schedules when we can as a courtesy, but everybody has this game. Everybody has the ability to download the app on their phone where you can always see the schedule. There's no excuse to say, oh, I don't know the schedule. I don't know who I'm playing. Download the app on your phone. It's the NFL Companion app. Download it. You can look and see who you're playing. We also have the Daddy Leagues account. We're giving you guys a lot of resources. And, Daddy Leagues wasn't free. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
On a side note, I know this has nothing to do with what you're talking about, but the Ravens and the Lions are playing right now live stream, and I know the Lions are talking about his rookie quarterback Paul Crew, but they're getting demolished out there right now. It's not looking good.
And let me tell you guys, I'm glad you brought that up. Whenever you guys start pumping your team up, you guys start talking that trash, you might call the wrong person out. Latrell, I think you learned your lesson with calling the White Dragon out. But you learned from it, and you're laying people out looking really nice. The Ravens is not somebody you want to go puffing your chest to. Don't go up in there telling them, oh, I got this quarterback or this running back, blah, blah, blah. He's going to expose you. When he locks down and plays, that's one of the best Madden players I've ever played in my life. I'm not saying he can't be beat. I'm just saying that when he locks in and he focuses, he can do whatever he wants to you.
Alpha male for now to you. My boy on the Ravens, he is a problem. He labs all day whenever he has time, so it's not nothing he just does for fun. I mean, he does it for fun, but he also serious about it. I know he plays in competitive leagues and plays for money, so it's more than matter for him.
Yeah, he's very serious about it, you guys. So, take it with a grain of salt. I've learned the hard way. I don't talk shit to the Ravens. The first time I played him was I can't remember exactly how long ago. I want to say it was like Madden 15 or Madden 16. I beat him a couple of times. I ran my mouth to him. He really started focusing, and he drugged me, and I've not been able to lay him out since. I might have won like a little close game here or there, but he's by far he's better than me, and I'm not that good, to say the least, you guys. But I beat plenty of people. A lot of people want to say the White Dragon ain't no good, but pretty sure I get more wins than most of y'all put together in your entire time in 4 seasons. So go ahead and talk all you want to the Dragon. But anyways, scheduling, it's real simple. Like we said, as soon as we advance, go ahead and reach out to your opponent. We have 48 hours in between each advance. Once we get to the playoffs, it's going to be 24 hours. We will extend another 24 hours if we have to, but we shouldn't have to go beyond 24 hours in the playoffs because there's only a handful of games that's got to get played, you guys. The off-season stages, each stage is going to be between 12 and 24 hours. I think everybody was pretty happy with this last off-season. What did you think about this last one, Latrell? You thought it moved along pretty good?
It did. The free agency looked a lot better. We had that, Joey Bosa out there. I wanted to sign him, but I did not have enough money.
Yeah, that was a good pickup. That was a good pickup with Keith and the Bengals. Bengals, I know you and I have been powwowing back and forth in the chat today, but I have to say you getting Joey Bosa, that was a good look, man. Very nice sign-up, good pickup. It doesn't matter what he cost. That was a good pickup.
Yeah, he paid, I think, $250 for him. That was crazy.
Hey, he's worth it. He's Joey Bosa. So he's worth it to me. That was a good pickup. Let's see here. Again, you guys, it's your responsibility to reach out to your opponent. If y'all come to me and say, I'm not the head commissioner anymore. I'm sorry. If you go to the Giants or your NFC or AFC commissioner and you say, hey, my opponent never reached out to me, well, you got to reach out to him. It's a two-way street. Make sure you try to schedule it. You guys just putting the emoji eyes up and atting the person, that's not scheduling your game. Don't think that's going to fly. If you say, can you run now? That's not scheduling a game. Let people know your schedule, and then they'll let you know theirs so you guys can work around it. We have a 30-minute grace period for your scheduled game, so if you guys say you're going to play at 9 o'clock, be there at 9 o'clock. If 9:10, 9:15 rolls around and you're open with the person, you're like, hey, look, I'm on the way home from work. I'm sorry. I'm coming as fast as I can. That's cool. But you tell somebody 9 o'clock and then 1 a.m., you hit them back up, you're going to get the forced loss. The next thing, you have to be able to play for a reasonable amount of time. The only thing that we're really going to take into account, you guys, is like your work schedule and serious things. If you're constantly picking flowers at the farm with your girl, you don't need to be in the league. All right. If you're making yourself unavailable, if my bad, I'm finger painting with my kids like 5 days in a row for 6 hours a day. That's cool. I wish somebody finger painted with me when I was a kid. That would have been fantastic. That means you don't need to be in this Madden league. But we are reasonable. Make yourself available to play. If you know that you're going to be out of town, if you know that you got a crazy work schedule for a few days, you're doing doubles, doing overtime, if you know you and your girl are going out or whatever, let the other person know, and it's okay to give that force loss, you guys. I mean, just work with them. It's just a game. There's no money on the line. You guys might have side bets and stuff like that, but you're not losing nothing, you guys. The last thing I want to go over as far as the rules and reward stuff are the season rewards. Just remember, you guys, if you play all of your games and you don't have any forced losses or any unscheduled games, then I'll clear your cap penalties at the end of the year. And we're pretty lenient with this. If you have if there's one and we see that you've been a solid user all year, we're still going to give it to you. Just the case in point is just play your games, schedule it, get them set up, let's get them knocked out so we can try to advance early. Before we wrap this thing up, Latrell, I want to go ahead and go over the first 4 weeks, player of the weeks. We're not going to go over the stats this week. Didn't have enough time. I really wanted to hunker down on the rules. So week 1, the NFC players of the week. The AFC player of the week was Julio Jones. He had 8 catches, 196 yards, 3 receiving touchdowns. And then we got one of your dudes, man, one of your pussycats in Carolina there, Latrell, Brian Burns. He had 8 tackles and 5 in that first week. Do you remember that when you played me and you got beat? You had 5 little sacks. That was nice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was nice. I'm glad you got something out of it. So, you got the L, but at least you got a cute little award. You get a nice little trophy out of that. That's nice. AFC side, you got week 1, DJ Chark Jr. I totally forgot that Chark made it to the Baltimore Ravens, and let me tell you, that place is a wide receiver factory.
Yeah,
Each game,
I see what he's doing. First year he built Marquise Brown,
Yep.
Hollywood Brown. Second year he built up Boykins.
Yep.
He's a superstar now. Now he's building Chalk. So
Right.
I see what he's doing.
So you guys, I mean,
So if you play the Ravens, hint, just guard Chark because that's what he's trying to build on you.
Right. I mean, 13 catches, 181 yards, and 6 touchdowns. He's building those receivers really well out there, you guys. And that's why, even though he didn't win the first year, we had some issues going on. He didn't win the championship the second year, but he's building his team, and he's having a blast doing it. So you guys don't get caught up in winning the Super Bowl and all that stuff. It's nice and everything, but just have fun. Build your players, build your team, be competitive, yes, but contribute to the league and help us build a nice brand here going into next year. AFC Defensive Player of the Week for Week 1 was Colbert with the Ravens as well. He had 7 tackles, 2 interceptions, and 1 defensive touchdown. Moving into Week 2, we got another Panther on the NFC side. The NFC Defensive Player of the Week was Jackson. He had 3 tackles, 2 interceptions, and 2 touchdowns, so props to you, Trell. We've got the rookie, Paul Crew. He got the NFC Offensive Player of the Week with the Lions. He was 12 of 20 for 183 passing yards, but he had 3 touchdowns, 3 carries for 48 yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. So Paul Crew looking like a really solid pick for the Lions up there. Moving over to the AFC side, another familiar face, Lamar Action Jackson, 17 of 25, 242 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. Then he had 4 carries for 28 yards. And then we have the defensive AFC Player of the Week for Week 1 was Bush with 8 tackles, 2 sacks, and 1 interception. Week 3, going back to the NFC side, some more familiar teams here. We got the Panthers in for the 3rd straight week. Good job, Latrell, dude. 3 straight weeks you had NFC Defensive Player of the Week. Week 3, it was Jordan Willis. He had 8 tackles, 7 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. The Lions, they had Offensive Player of the Week with Butler at wide receiver. He had 8 catches, $170 with 3 receiving touchdowns. So the trend that I'm starting to see for the NFC, it looks like the Lions, he's got a lot of offense, and it looks like you, Trell, you have a lot of defense. So really nice to see you guys bringing these awards home early on. Over in the AFC side for Week 3, this was a shocker. I don't think Ben Roethlisberger has ever received an award in this league, but whoever the Steelers is, he got him a nice award. He got him AFC Player of the Week for offense, 17 of 24, 256 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, and then me with the Gotham City Jets, D-Payne, 3 tackles, 1 sack, 2 interceptions. He was all over the place. D-Payne is the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, so good to see him doing well. Moving on to Week 4, Tampa Bay cleaned house with the awards for the NFC side. Jones, he's one of their drafted players at wide receiver. 8 catches, 292 yards, and 5 receiving touchdowns. Hell of a week for Jones. Fantastic week for him. Nice wide receiver you got. On the defensive side of the ball, you had Reed Jr. He had 5 tackles and 5 picks. That is insane. 5 picks for one player in a week. That's insane. Some players don't get that in an entire season. For the AFC side, you had Captain Phillips up here with the Gotham City. Let's see here. 13 of 43, 348 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. And then on the defensive side...
Did you say 13 of 43?
I'm sorry, 30 of 43. My bad. I'm sorry. Yeah. And you can see, the way my offense is built. 43 pass attempts and only 348 yards. It's dots. It's little small passes here and there. Last year I was just going deep downfield. This year I'm trying to expand my playbook and get other guys involved besides Robbie Anderson. AFC Defensive Player of the Week was none other than Joey Bosa with the Bengals. He had 7 tackles and 5 sacks, so that big contract is paying off. Looks like he's doing well. That's pretty much it this week for you guys. Latrell, is there anything you want to chime in on? I apologize if I called you Peyton at any time during this, dude. I'm usually doing this with Peyton, but he left me hanging. But I'm glad to have you on as a guest host. Anything you want to add or throw out there, sir?
The NFC South is probably the best division in the league with the Bucks, the Bucks, Saints, myself, and Falcons. The Falcons have been talking a lot of shit, so I'm looking forward to playing them in Week 5.
Yeah, that NFC South, that's hands down the best division, you guys.
Bucks.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There's no competition. The NFC East was pretty solid for a minute, but yeah, that NFC South, it is brutal, absolutely brutal. Anybody in that division can compete for a championship. So it's just ridiculous. I can't even get my head around it, man.
We might have 2 wild cards going from our division. But I played the Falcons Week 5, so that's probably going to be my toughest game. Well, to you, my second toughest game this season. If he can really play like he talks. So I
got to give you a round of applause for correcting yourself. Very good job. You forgot about playing me. I thought I was going to have to thump your head in again, man.
Whatever. I won't see you unless you go to the Super Bowl. So.
Yeah, the Falcons are solid, man. And I gotta give him props. I ain't trying to, to ride on him too much, but when I came out playing him, I usually open up the first couple of plays, taking deep shots, and I was 0 for 5 passing early on. And after I realized dude could play, dude had defense, it was too late, and I was playing from behind the whole game. It was still a one-score game. It was really tight, good defensive game, but he has probably some of the best coverage defense I have ever seen in Madden, hands down. He doesn't blitz a lot, so you got time in the pocket, but whatever coverage he is using, props to you, man. You built a really nice defense. That shit was nice, man.
That shit's not gonna work on me. His quarterback's name is Cornbread Killer. He ain't gonna be killing nothing out there.
I love the name change too, by the way, dude.
He's not gonna be killing nothing on my secondary. My defense, actually, I think I got the top 3 or top 5 defense in the league right now. So.
Well, and like I said, when I played him, I had no trouble stopping him on offense. I'm not trying to throw shade on him or anything. I mean, his defense is ridiculous, but his offense, I was able to lock him down. He only had one offensive touchdown. I remember that I had Freeman held to 12 carries for 8 yards, and then he broke off an 81-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter. So other than that, we only had defensive touchdowns. It was a really good game. Excellent defensive game. So Trell, you're really going to expand yourself on offense when you play him, and all you guys. I'm not trying to game plan for anybody, but he's got really good defense.
I'm not even worried about him.
Okay.
I just can't wait to play him.
Well, that's going to be
talking the most shit to me. My only real problem I see going down the road is the Bucks, which he's in my division. He's a good player, so my team is built well, so that's going to help me out a lot, but I'm going to have to play my best games when I play him. I just need to be there one time and go into the playoffs so I can get the bye week, but it's going to be between me and him with the bye week. But at least 2 people from the NFC South, I think, is going to the playoffs with a wild card. So.
Yeah, and you know what, while we're here, before we wrap it up, you guys...
Possible?
Yeah, it's possible to have 2 people get the wild card in the same division.
2 people from the same division?
Yeah, it's happened before. It happened. It can happen.
If y'all let 3 people from the NFC South go to the playoffs, y'all some bums.
Yeah, they definitely are. If they allow that shit to happen.
And Commissioner, the Giants is in the NFC, so I don't know.
Yeah, NFC is tough. While we're still here, before we close it out, you guys, just a few things I've seen throughout the league. I want to give props to people because everybody can't win the Super Bowl, last time I checked. But Latrell, right off the bat, I know that you've lost some games here and there, but first 2 years you went 10-6, really solid, man. Good job. But I think you've built an amazing team. You had to really pay up for your team too. I know you traded away Superstar X Factor Cam Newton. You traded away Superstar X Factor McCaffrey. I think you traded away your corner you had that had a trait. You traded away some offensive linemen that had traits. You've traded a lot of pieces away. Every single draft pick you've got. You've traded away 3 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, 3 third-round picks. You paid up to get your players, but then...
I traded away to make my team young and fast, and then I built them the second year. Well, first and second year, so... Yeah, right. I built the team in my image.
Yeah, and those players, right off the bat, a lot of them didn't already have Superstar or X Factor, and through your play, you got those scenarios and you built it. So good job. The Cardinals. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room. Cardinals, first 2 years, you only had 1 win. But I think you've got a pair of wins this year. You might even have a third. I don't know. I haven't looked at the schedule in the last few hours. But you've made a lot of smart decisions in building your team now. I know you recently got George Kittle. You've got Kyler Murray built up. You've drafted really well. You draft very well. So you're a good GM. You're putting a good team together. And I think this year you're going to be a little bit more competitive. So very good job of building your team. Really good team builder. Obviously, the Giants is a really good team builder, but I like the way he builds. He goes after these no-name guys, but they have really good attributes that a lot of people are sleeping on, and he builds them. So very crafty in the way he builds his team. The Buccaneers have built a solid squad, and not just through free agency and trades, but through drafting. Really good drafter. Yeah. The Cowboys, I have to say the Cowboys, they left a little bit to be desired for me. They had 5 first-round picks this last year. They got some good, solid foundational guys, but they didn't really get those studs that I think they were looking for. So we'll see if it takes one more season for them to get everything under their belt. Obviously, Peyton out there with the Rams, he didn't have too much work to do. It was already a really good team, but he's done really well at bringing in some young talent. Looks like the Jaguars, they're turning things around. They had a really good draft. First 2 years, he was taking a lot of L's. He was, taking the lumps of learning 32-man league. I know that a lot of people, they play in 10-people leagues and 12-people leagues, and the first time they got to play a 32-man league, it's a big shock. And you'll see that there's always somebody out there that can beat you. But he's got his team rolling. He's made a lot of moves, getting them in the right direction. Danny's letting me down out there with the Raiders, man. Danny used to be an amazing GM, and he hasn't really made any trades. He is building through the draft, but I'd like to see Danny do some more trades. Obviously, the Ravens, they've built a nice squad, free agency and everything. The Bengals have really turned things around. Bengals were absolute garbage before Keith took over. Keith did a good job of bringing in, Joey Bosa. He's actively trying to trade. Some of his trades, they may not, be the best in most people's opinion when he originally sends them. He might send you, a 7th-round pick for Myles Garrett, but, he's just getting it started. He's trying to get everything worked up, you guys, so don't get offended if he sends you guys these whack-ass trades. He is pretty good at counter-offering. He's really big in that part of the trade game. He doesn't want to ever overpay for anything, so he's really good at working on trades and getting things built. Bengals are looking good. Theo's done really well. Theo's been really solid at he had a great draft. I like I'm sorry, you guys. Theo is the 49ers, Good Money Red. Really nice quarterback he got. He got a superstar X-Factor quarterback. I love the Lions pick, getting the Paul Crew. I like the Falcons pick, getting their quarterback. So a lot of good moves out there. The Colts made some noise in the offseason. Dolphins are letting me down, dude. Dolphins have a lot of talent on the team.
Is trash.
I'm not going to call him that, but he's letting me down. He's got some skill. I've seen him really hang in there and compete with some really competitive guys. And he's been at 500 at different points in time during our franchise, but he's got to get a quarterback. Rosen's not getting it done down there. Hopefully he'll get him a quarterback. But he's drafted really well, though, Trail. He drafted 2 superstars in both drafts, so really good at drafting. Clarence up there with the Vikings, I'm not exactly sure what direction he's going to build his team, but he is very active. He's very active in the trading. He's very active in off-season and drafting. His team is extremely young. So I want to see. I don't think this is going to be his year. I think he's got something planned for down the road. We'll see what he can do. But
this is all the time I got for today.
Yeah, we're just rambling. So you guys, thanks for being on here, Latrell. Good to have you on as a special guest. Keep on winning some games. Don't be trash anymore. Take it easy, you guys. This is White Dragon, Matrix Unplugged. We'll see you next week. Take it easy.